They escorted me to my work. Do you need us to explain to your boss why you're late? No, sir. Thank you, but I'm sure when I explain, he'll understand. You did a good job today, lad. You should be proud. The police officer left, and I felt warm inside. I was proud, but then I looked at my watch and swore. I was late. Not terribly late, just 15 minutes. But that was enough. My boss, Richard, was waiting, arms crossed, sneering like he had been looking for an excuse. You're late, John. Again. Sir, I was helping someone who got into an accident. Do I look like I care? This company doesn't run on sob stories. You think you're special? You're not. You're late, and that comes with consequences. I clenched my fists. I wanted to yell, to explain, but I knew it wouldn't matter. Richard thrived on making people feel powerless. You're fired. I stared. I was struck dumb. I looked around the office and saw everyone glaring at my boss, but they were as powerless as I was. Richard followed me to my desk and watched with his arms crossed and with a nasty smile as I packed up my desk. Then, I was gone, unemployed and miserable. My name is John, and I'm about to tell you the best story about revenge. It all started when I was in my car, driving to work. It was just another Monday morning. The kind where you drag yourself out of bed, run on too little sleep, and pray the coffee at work isn't as terrible as the boss. You see, my boss was on a permanent power trip. He likes to pointlessly order around his employees, making them do work they're not supposed to be doing, and humiliating them by shouting at them in the middle of the office so everyone can watch. He walks around the office to try and find problems, and when he doesn't find one, he makes them up. I think he just likes reminding people who is in charge. Just yesterday, he picked on our newest colleague.
Please, sir, I did as you asked. Exactly to the letter. I don't understand why you're taking a day's pay away.
Don't question me. Do you want to lose your job as well as your pay?
But sir, I didn't do anything wrong. Is it because I wouldn't go on a date with you?
Shut up. Go sit in the corner if you're going to talk back like a petulant toddler. Go on. Jessica stood in the corner, shoulders shaking as she cried. Everyone's anger at Richard rose impossibly higher. The worst part, she was still later fired. At lunch later in the day, I saw Richard throw his soup at the cafeteria worker. Disgusting! Clean that up! You make me sick! Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. He stood over the worker as he mopped up the mess and prepared a new bowl of soup for my boss. That's a day's wages you've lost there, you embarrassing piece of work. And if you thought he couldn't get worse, you'd be wrong. At the end of the day, he spat on the valet and asked why his car was still filthy, even though it was sparkling clean. Don't expect to be getting paid today if you're going to stand around being lazy. Safe to say, I was not looking forward to getting into work. But I needed the job. I needed the experience. I was hoping to move up in the company and make a name for myself. But every new day made me realize that it wasn't possible. I had no idea my life was about to take a wild turn. I was on my way to work, driving through the pouring rain, when I saw an accident up ahead. A car had skidded and slammed into a pole. Smoke rose from the hood, and people just stood there, gawking but doing nothing. That's when I saw her. A frail, elderly woman trapped in the driver's seat, shaking. My car screeched to a stop, and I jumped out without hesitation. I rushed over and pulled open the door. "Ma'am, are you okay? Can you move?" She looked up at me with wide, terrified eyes. Her wrist was bleeding, her breathing was unsteady, and her gaze was unfocused. I wasn't a doctor, but suspected she had a concussion. I helped her out, shielding her from the rain with my jacket. As the ambulance arrived, she gripped my hand tightly before they took her away, her eyes filled with gratitude.
Thank you, dear boy. I hope one day I can reward you for the kindness you've shown today.
Goodness, no. Don't worry, everyone deserves help. I don't need a reward for doing what anyone should have done. I watched the ambulance drive away, and then I stayed behind until the police took my details and they towed her car away. They ensured I was okay, and I promised them I was. They escorted me to my work. Do you need us to explain to your boss why you're late? No, sir. Thank you, but I'm sure when I explain, he'll understand. You did a good job today, lad. You should be proud. The police officer left, and I felt warm inside. I was proud, but then I looked at my watch and swore. I was late. Not terribly late, just 15 minutes. But that was enough. My boss, Richard, was waiting, arms crossed, sneering like he had been looking for an excuse. "You're late, John." Again. "Sir, I was helping someone who got into an accident." "Do I look like I care? This company doesn't run on sob stories. You think you're special? You're not. You're late, and that comes with consequences." I clenched my fists. I wanted to yell, to explain, but I knew it wouldn't matter. Richard thrived on making people feel powerless. "You're fired." I stared. I was struck dumb. I looked around the office and saw everyone glaring at my boss, but they were as powerless as I was. Richard followed me to my desk and watched with his arms crossed and with a nasty smile as I packed up my desk. Then, I was gone, unemployed and miserable. I sat at home and stared at the blank TV as I ruminated over how I would pay for my rent. Just like that. No discussion. No consideration for the 5 years I'd given to this place. I was shoved out like trash. Days passed. I was angry and humiliated. I spent hours replaying the moment in my head, thinking about how unfair it all was. I applied to jobs, but nothing came through fast enough. Bills piled up. I was drowning. Then something insane happened. I got a call.
John, this is Eleanor Whitmore.
The name didn't register at first, until she said,
You helped me during the accident. I wanted to thank you personally.
It hit me. The woman I had helped. The woman whose life I probably saved. "Good morning, ma'am. How are you feeling now?"
Much better, dear boy. Actually, I have something curious to share with you. See, I spoke with the police and they told me your name. I asked my son to help me find you. You young ones know all about this new technology stuff, and it turns out you work for his company.
She wasn't just any elderly lady. She was the mother of our company's CEO. Wow, that's a wild coincidence. I'm glad to hear you're okay. But actually, I don't work there anymore. I was fired.
Is that so? 1 second?
I waited for a few minutes, but then she came back on the line.
My son assures me that you're still employed and being paid.
I explained to her everything that had happened on the day I helped her, and she asked me to come into the office to meet with her son. In the lobby of the building, I saw Richard, and he went bright red. "What are you doing here? Get out! I fired you! Mr. Whitmore will see you now." Richard turned to the security guard in confusion. "I didn't plan to meet the CEO, not you, John." That redness in Richard's face bled out and left behind just white. I went upstairs and was great by the old lady and the CEO. We talked for hours, and they started gathering evidence. Jessica was called up and given a job. Then, just after the clock struck 3, we all went home with a plan in place for the next day. I went into work and sat at my desk like nothing was the matter. Jessica came in not long after and winked at me. When Richard arrived, 10 minutes late, he saw me and exploded. "Get out!"
Actually, the CEO has specifically requested he keep his job. But you, Richard, you'll be lucky if you get paid another day.
"What are you talking about?"
Go stand in the corner.
"You don't tell me what to do." Actually, she does. "Go stand in the corner." Again, Richard went pale, but after the CEO pointed out the corner, Richard shuffled over and stood with his back to the room. All of his employees watched and snickered. Richard kept trying to sneak a look at the room, but the CEO barked for him to turn back to the wall. After about 30 minutes, the CEO and I finished our whispered conversation. "Richard, come here now." Richard came to stand in front of the CEO, who was much taller than him. The CEO shoved a file into Richard's hands. "This is evidence. You've been skimming money, Richard, stealing wages from employees, harassing people, running this company like your personal kingdom. You're done." Richard's eyes went wide. He opened his mouth, but no words came. Security was already moving. The CEO could have fired him, but he did better. "You should know that you're not going to be hired anywhere ever again. We're your best bet. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to come into the office every day and stand in the corner for an hour, just like you made your employees do. Then, you'll go to the cafeteria and serve your employees their food and clean up after them. Then, you'll be down in the car park, washing the cars for your employees. Oh, sorry, they're not your employees anymore. They're your bosses. And if you refuse, I'll take everything to the police. And you know what that means. You'll be going away for a very long time." His punishment started straight away. He stood in the corner for an hour while people laughed at him. All the employees in the building came by to laugh at him. Then, he went to the cafeteria to put on a hairnet and apron and serve soup to his former employees. At the end of the day, he was put into overalls and set to wash all the cars before the end of the day. When I went down to my car later, I saw him washing my car. Good work, Richard. Don't miss a spot. And let me tell you, revenge has never tasted sweeter. But that wasn't the end of it. One day, I found him sitting alone on a bench outside the office, his uniform stained with grease from the cafeteria. His hands trembled as he lit a cigarette, a far cry from the arrogant tyrant who once controlled my career. Tough day? He looked up at me, the fire in his eyes long gone. There was no fight left in him. Only regret. Only shame. You think this is funny? No, Richard. I think it's justice. I walked away, leaving him with the life he had built for himself. A life of humiliation, regret, and consequences. And I was just getting started on my new job, personally recommended by Eleanor Whitmore herself. Some people say karma isn't real, but trust me, I've seen it firsthand. The next day, the cafeteria was buzzing with laughter. Employees who once feared Richard now openly mocked him. He had no power left, no authority, just a cheap uniform and the daily grind of washing dishes. One day, the CEO decided to pay a visit. The entire company watched as he walked into the cafeteria, elegance and authority radiating from him. Richard looked up, and for a moment, hope flickered in his eyes. Maybe he would show him mercy. He didn't. You had everything, Richard, and you wasted it.
Now you'll serve the people you once tormented.
And with that, he handed him his tray. He had no choice but to take it. The cafeteria roared with laughter. The once mighty boss was now a servant. Weeks passed. The humiliation only grew. Employees accidentally spilled their drinks near him. He had to mop it up. They made special requests, extra seasoning, special napkins, making him scramble to serve them. And then there was the car washing. Employees started leaving extra dirty cars just for him. Mud, paint, gum on the seats, anything to make his suffering last a little longer. One day, as I walked past him scrubbing the wheels of my car, I couldn't resist. Richard, I think you missed a spot. And for the first time in his life, Richard didn't sneer, didn't roll his eyes. He just nodded. He was defeated. Some might say I should feel bad for him. But I don't. Because karma always wins. Richard didn't subscribe. Look where that got him. Don't be like Richard. Subscribe.